So, Saints, just a brief history of the Baltimore Tabernacle here. So, we don't know when the tabernacle originated, but we do know that it was around in the early 1900s. Baltimore was a place to come for people who needed work. I'm so sorry, my notes and my sharing and my computer is not the best right now, so please bear along with me. In the early 1900s, Baltimore was a place where people could come to work because we had shipyards here. And one of the popular places was Sparrows Point and Bethlehem Steel. Baltimore also has a warm water port, which is also good for commerce, and it still is good for commerce today. So there's a lot of, oh my gosh, we have all kinds of things that come in to here. This is what the harbor used to look like at that time, back in I believe this photo is from the 70s before they built it up. But right now there is a section for tourists, and then there's a completely different section for business, which is still run today. This is one side of the harbor where people park their yachts. Just as a point of history, Baltimore was also a popular point of entry for immigrants. There was that is in part due to the B&O Railroad. I don't know if you guys can see my counter, my pointer, but there was a whole thing here with immigrants coming into Baltimore. So they not only came into New York in this area, they entered into Baltimore. As a point of African American history, Maryland was omitted from the Emancipation Proclamation. So Maryland actually freed their slaves on November 1st, 1864. But of course, prior to that, we all know in our history that at that time, people just started walking off, walking away from there. Baltimore is not the capital of Maryland. It is the largest city in Maryland. The title of capital goes to Annapolis. Lots of people think Baltimore is the capital, and it isn't. This is a more up-to-date image here of the Inner Harbor. St. Sarah Holliday, if you all remember her, was a member here in Baltimore from the time that she was a child. And St. Sarah Holliday was a member here in Baltimore from the time that she was a child. And she explained to us that lots of the saints from Baltimore migrated from Southern Virginia because they came here to work. This is just a picture of us in our early days here. A point in the church history, as well as the history of Baltimore, is the Great Baltimore Fire. It burned, the city burned from February the 7th through February the 8th. Yes, it burned for 2 days. And the way that we are told the story from the saints is that there was a minister here at that time, and they put him in a very large barrel or well or something of that state, and gave him a bucket or a small pail and told him that he would work today. And the prophet said that they will soon let him go. That was on the Sabbath. The next day, the fire started. So February the 7th was a Sunday. February the 8th was a Monday. It is said that the degree of the fire, the temperature, was between 2,200 and 2,400 degrees. But at that time, the temperature, the weather in the city was well below freezing. The fire nearly destroyed all of the city at that time. The city reported that the fire leaped from building to building. The people reported that it looked like a man that was leaping from building to building. The saints said it was the prophet. So I thought that that was very interesting that God allowed them to see that. We all know that fire can leap, but to see the image of a man. One of the reasons that several reasons that the fire was so difficult to put out was because Baltimore did not have a large enough fire company at the time. And so neighboring counties came to help, and also companies from various nearby states, such as Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey. They sent their fire companies to help as well. These are actual photos of the damage that was done. Some streets in downtown Baltimore are oddly positioned because of the fire. Again, there are several reasons what took so long for them to put the fire out. By the way, I'm sure you want to know, well, how did this fire start? Well, it's reported that it started by a discarded cigarette in the basement of one of these business offices. That's what it says. And it quickly got out of control within an hour. When the other fire companies came to help out, it was little that they could do because their hoses would not fit the fire hydrants here. So at that time, this wasn't something that was regulated. And that was something I never even thought about, but it wasn't regulated at the time. So they couldn't do anything to help. Also, remember I told you it was well below freezing. And so when the water came out of the hoses, it would just freeze. And so that's one of the images that you're seeing here. It couldn't do anything. It just would not go out. And so there's several pictures of the city where the ice is just there. And if you're wondering, the minister did not die. He did not die. One of the things that they learned from the fire was regulate fire hoses across the country and things like that, fire retardant paint, those things of that nature. But more importantly, don't mess with God's people. One of the familiar, or I should say the most familiar, the saints are familiar with, are Saint Queen Harmon, who is pictured here. This is Chief Cloister Connors and Chief Grant and Bishop Grant there. I don't know who the other two ministers are. And Evangelist Harmon here in Baltimore. I don't know if you all know, I'm probably telling you all information you already know, is that they kept services right in their home as well. Of course, this is the house, but this is a picture of the house today. So they too kept services in their home, and many saints came to visit them in their home for service, just like we do now. One of my mentors, Grandmother Sarah Grant, used to tell me stories about how she remembers coming to Baltimore to visit her family here in Baltimore. Saint Sarah Holliday also said she remembered when the Grants would come and how they always looked forward to their frequent visits. So I thought that was really nice. My family also migrated to Baltimore from Southern Virginia. This is a picture of Saint Virgie Epps. She is the first person that joined the church in my family that I am aware of. And she was here in Baltimore under the leadership of Evangelist Harmon. She invited my grandfather, Evangelist Abel Guy, to church here in Baltimore on Francis Street, the little house that I showed you. And he went and he joined the same day, and Evangelist Harmon baptized him the same day. That's what they did back then. You join, you get baptized same day. He said he got baptized in a suit and everything. Baptism is important. That's what he did. Now to our current era, Elder Abel Guy was sent to Baltimore to pastor here in 2004, right back to the same tabernacle where he grew up to gather the saints here. So he got right to work. You know, thankfully, we're still in contact with Saint Sarah Holliday and Saint Abigail Harmon. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of her. But like I said, we got right to work. We were really busy. We were moving in faith. We have had much success of soliciting on the streets here in Baltimore. And several saints throughout the years have come to help us. And for that, we say thank you. We're so grateful. We did very well. If you want to get an idea, on average, we would, and my dad can unmute and correct me if I'm mistaken, we wouldn't spend any more than 2 hours out there, and we would collect anywhere between $200 to $300. While we were there, we would sing, and we had buckets and asking for money. We've done several things throughout the time that we've been here. We've passed out water bottles with the church label affixed to it. We've passed out business cards. We've passed out flyers. We've had Bible study. We've had all kinds of things. We've went to up and down various neighborhoods, going door to door, inviting people to church, letting them know about the gospel here. And in that time as well, continuing to walk in faith, we purchased so many things in faith that we would have a building. We have, I would be remiss to note that the Washington, D.C. Tabernacle at that time, under the leadership of Elder John Bush, they gifted us our very first communion set and our foot washing basin and towels, the whole kit. So nice. We were so grateful. And we still use it to this day. We've purchased, decorations for the church. We have staff holder. We bought pulpit chairs. We bought chairs for the audience, for the choir. I know I'm forgetting things, but just moving in faith, because we believe that one day we too will have, that bar was there, that we too will have a building. And this is just images of saints that have come to them. Some images. I definitely couldn't share all of them. I hope Stephanie's still on here so she can see herself. We also have grown in membership. So I know you all don't always see them, but over the years, we have grown to be about a little less than 30. I want to say about 27 members. Though right now, we have a steady membership of 9. Evangelist Nelson came to visit us. That was a very memorable time. And again, we're still moving in faith, asking God to bless us and to help us. Here, we continue to press. If you have not visited us, please don't be discouraged that we are in a home. So saints have visited us from all across America. I don't want to say names because I don't want to forget anyone, but not just America, the Grand Cayman Islands, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Jamaica. Again, just because we're in a house, please come visit. We love visitors. And thank you. We have a YouTube channel, we have Instagram, and we have Facebook. I have received several requests for the sermons this week, from this weekend, and I will do my best to have them posted on our YouTube channel before next Sabbath. Again, this is our handle, which is consistent across all 3 of these mediums. Excuse me. Thank you for listening. I hope that was informative. I wish that I was able to talk to some of the older saints, because I know you have memories about Baltimore that I don't know, like Chief Forster and Grandfather Abraham and Bishop. I know you guys have lots of memories, but time wouldn't allow me to do that. But if you want to call me and tell me so I can document it and write it down, that would be great. Thank you all for staying behind and just watching our little presentation.